All right, y'all, we're going to get it started with some Jimmy Highroller, man. When you score 83 points in a game and nobody cares.
A look at the best scoring nights throughout NBA history. And
you know, if you live under a rock, if you're not up to date with what's happened in the NBA, Bam Adebayo scored 83 points against the Washington Wizards. Shout out to Alex Sarr.
The list of the
shout out to Alex Sarr for being sorry. I watched like the highlights and shit. Nigga was getting dead the whole game. But Alex Sarr. You got 100 up downs, nigga.
Greatest players to ever play the game. Jordan 69, Steph 62, Lillard 71, Luka's 73, Kobe Bryant's famous 81. It's the most coveted record book in all of basketball, a testament and historical evidence of the greatest nights in NBA history by some of the greatest players in NBA history.
Nigga, comment down below the most amount of points you've had in the game. And if you cap it, I'ma know. If you say some crazy shit, I'ma want proof.
It's the question, what the hell is Bam Adebayo doing here with a mind-boggling modern NBA record of 83 points?
Damn.
Well, this, my friends, is the result of quite possibly the most egregious case of stat padding the NBA has ever seen. And despite scoring the second most points in a single game in the history of the NBA, Bam's 83-point night will go down as one of the most shocking and controversial games we may ever see.
Hey, y'all already know what's coming next.
You love me. Team. By all fourth quarter, the Washington Wizards.
Shout out to Jimmy, man. Make your money, bro.
In a game featuring the Washington Wizards and the Miami Heat. With 1 minute and 46 seconds left in the fourth quarter, the Heat were up 146 to 119. By all conceivable measures, this game was a blowout. It's over. But with that being the case, why is Drew Smith attempting a full court heave while his team is up nearly 30 points on a piss-poor Wizards team? Well, he's not. He's trying to get the ball to Bam Adebayo, who is being double-teamed 50 feet away from the ball because he has 79 points. And
damn, they was trying everything they could in their power.
At this point,
and they still couldn't stop him.
Bam is going to add to his historic total will be at the free throw line.
They triple teaming this nigga.
Is now guarding him with their entire roster.
Damn.
And what started as a normal basketball game has now become a full-blown circus act. But it didn't start this way. In just the first quarter of this game, Bam Adebayo had 31 points, the second most points scored in the first quarter of a game in NBA history. By halftime, Bam had 43, already a career high, and the second most points scored in the first half of a game in NBA
I told you,
history.
Alex Sarr over there getting fucked up, bro. Alex Sarr, you got an additional 100 up downs for proving my point. So now, altogether, you got 200 up downs, and we still got about 11 minutes left. You already have 200 up downs.
Bam had 43, already a career high, and the second most points scored in the first half of the game in NBA history. Going into the third, the Wizards still had no.
Not Bam. Alex, you got another 50 up downs. You got 250 up downs.
Still flooding in, both naturally in the flow of the game and ethically. By the end of the third, Bam had 62 points, which, you guessed it, is the second most points through 3 quarters in NBA history. Before the start of the fourth quarter, Bam's performance was already being celebrated by his teammates and fans. He had broken LeBron's franchise scoring record of 61.
I know LeBron mad as fuck somewhere.
And the Heat were blowing the Wizards out by 20. And it is at this point where Bam
I know that
and his
nigga LeBron mad.
are left with a decision.
He like, man, you trash ass Wizards, man.
Already substantial lead. Leave the floor and sub out as the hero of the night, or stay in the game and potentially chase the league's scoring record. What decision should they make? Well, it just so happens that I covered
if I'm Bam, I would've got 100.
predicament in my last
I would've got 101.
I asked the question, is it possible to score 100 points in an NBA game? The final verdict? Yes, it is possible. The only problem? The circumstances required to have such a game are so unlikely that we will probably never see 100 points ever again. unless a player is willing to infringe on the integrity of the game itself. There have been many games throughout the years that had record-breaking potential, but for a few reasons, most notably the game being a blowout and the potential record breaker respectfully sitting the final quarter, there have been very few instances where a player was able to genuinely chase the record without any negative consequences. How did Bam Adebayo drop the most points in modern NBA history on a random Tuesday night in March?
Great respect to let him. History of the NBA. Now 3. Bam.
Damn.
By choosing option C and infringing on the
You know what I think the NBA should do? The NBA should investigate these refs. How much did Bam pay these niggas?
Could have been a celebrated, memorable,
They need to be
and
investigated.
ethical performance. Bam and the Heat decided to go a different route. With about 9 minutes left in this game, Bam had this incredible and one. A blow-by followed up with this great acrobatic finish at the rim through contact, and an explosion from the fans in the arena. And after hitting the free throw, this would have been the ideal and historically acceptable moment for Bam to check out of this game. It was his 70th point of the night. Miami had the game all but wrapped up. And up to this point, all of his points were ethical, non-GMO, farm-raised buckets.
Alex Sarr getting fucked up.
And here is how he scored his final 13 points. Free throw, free throw, free throw, free throw, miss 3, layup, free throw, miss 3, turnover, miss 3, miss 3, free throw, free throw, free throw, free throw, intentional miss free throw, attempting to manufacture more points, free throw, free throw. Bye-bye, Kobe.
Yo, nah.
Bam. In what is now being called the most unethical game of basketball the league has ever seen, the Miami Heat spent the final 7 minutes of this game executing every conceivable tactic to manufacture more points for Bam Adebayo. Chucking up unnecessary threes, intentionally fouling the Wizards to get possession, even going as far as intentionally missing a free throw to try to get the ball back to
nigga,
Bam.
look at the way they holding this nigga Bam, bro. Look at this shit.
As far as intentionally missing a free
Yo, he not even playing basketball no more. Look at this shit. You finna kiss his ass.
to try to get the ball back to Bam. And as a result, they are quickly
Relax,
discovering
dude.
why Kobe's modern scoring record stood for so long and why no one can seem to match it despite a number of players getting close. Because, wait, I actually already said this a week ago. Let me find the clip real quick. 100 points in a single game is possible, but the circumstances required to have such a game, to justify one player taking that many shots and doing so without infringing on the integrity of the game, is so narrow that we may never see it happen again. Ah, that's right. The fallout for unapologetically chasing out. Yeah. This is truly a definitive and timeless paradox of big performances. Historic nights like this have become less about can a player pull it off and more about do the circumstances require a player to pull it off, in which case the circumstances virtually never do. This performance from Bam is not only proof of that, but it is evidence of what we all have known to be the truth. There are many players around the league right now who could go for 80, 90, maybe even 100 points on the right night, if they set their mind to it, if them and their team game plan for it, if it is their sole focus for 48 minutes, if the Washington Wizards are on their schedule. But even attempting something like this would require a player to break the unwritten rules of basketball. And that clearly isn't worth the backlash of possibly pulling it off. It isn't worth it. So what were the fruits of Bam's labor? The second most points in a single game in NBA history, the most free throw attempts in a single game in NBA history, by far the most free throws made in a game in NBA history, and the fifth most three-pointers attempted in a game. Oh, and he also broke the record for the most criticism received by a single player in one game. Now, if we ignore all context and what it took to get there, according to the game score metric, which takes all the good things a player does in the box score minus all the bad things and spits out a number that attempts to reflect the impact a player had on a game, Bam had statistically the sixth best game in NBA history, which is unfortunate that it will not be remembered as such. In my last video, I used this chart to display the greatest scoring nights in NBA history and the pace these players were on to reach their final totals. For example, here's Luka's 73, here's Booker's 70, Lillard's 71, here's Kobe's 81, and here is Bam's 83. Through 3 quarters, he was tied for the second most points all time going into the fourth. In fact, that and one bucket in the fourth quarter that I mentioned earlier is right here. All of his buckets leading up to this point were non-forced ethical buckets within the flow of the game. Bam Adebayo was playing out of his mind, better than anyone ever has in modern NBA history, even before all of these shameless scoring tactics were deployed. The stat padding that spurred all of this outrage took place here in the final 9 minutes of the game. All of this is now invalid because of this. A week ago,
that's crazy.
I said the methods the Warriors used to get Wilt to 100 were outrageous and would never be used in the modern NBA. 7 days later, we're watching a center get triple teamed 94 feet out while up 25 with no admissible reason for him still being on the court. I now stand corrected. But I don't think these final minute tactics are worth discrediting this entire performance. 83 points is 83 points. Regardless of how you go about getting them, you still have to go out and get them.
That's what I'm saying, gang. 83 is still 83, my nigga.
This game was proof for some fans that Wilt Chamberlain actually did score 100 back in 1962, despite there being no video evidence. If Bam can get to 83, Wilt Chamberlain
could have got to get 200, nigga.
Which there's already a laundry list of proof from that game.
Wilt would have got 200,
determining factor. But if Bam's game is being ridiculed and dismissed, even if the criticism is justified, then so should the mythical 100-point scoring record. Because the way that Bam got his points is the exact method Wilt used to get his. Like, literally, bar for bar. During the final minutes of Heat Wizards, Keyshawn Johnson intentionally missed a free throw in hopes that the Heat would get the rebound to get it back to Bam. This is exactly what the Warriors did for Wilt. The Heat also intentionally fouled while holding an insurmountable lead to get the ball back faster. The Warriors did the same exact thing to get Wilt to 100. If Bam's 83 points is invalid because of these tactics, then for that same reason, so is Wilt's 100. Not only did the two biggest...
How y'all feel about that? That nigga Jimmy said, if Bam's 83-point game is unethical, then so is Wilt's. How y'all feel about that?
Scoring nights in NBA history deploy the most gimmicky, shameless tactics to pull it off. This is quite possibly the only way to pull it off. The only difference between Bam's 83 and Wilt's 100 is video cameras and an angry mob of critics online. Now, to be completely honest, I was thrilled to finally see a coach allow his player to chase a record and have himself a night that most players could only dream of. You want to know how many games I've watched that were spoiled by an early sub? A player being punished for giving too much belt to the opposing team. A 3-point party cut short because they were playing too good. Potential record shut down because it wouldn't be in good taste.
Yeah, that nigga Clay was going crazy.
If this is what it takes to make up for all the times I had to watch Steve Kerr pull a player from a game on the verge of a league record, then so be it. I am just as surprised as you that I will now see Bam Adebayo's name above Kobe Bryant's for the rest of my days. But to see Bam have the audacity to stay in this game, emphatically do what no one else would dare, was just as fun as it was shocking. Which, by the way, every single player, without exception, would choose to stay in the game and chase a record if their coach allowed them to. This just happens.
Nigga, you have to be realistic with yourself, gang. If niggas really had the option to stat pack, bro, I'm gonna stat pack. What is you talking about? I'm not sitting on the bench, gang. I'm finna stat pack, boy. What? I'm finna stat pack.
Case where a coach did allow it. How can we blame Bam for doing something every player would do if given the chance? I don't know, maybe instead of putting all the blame on the man who just scored 83 points in an NBA game, we should aim that frustration at the team that allowed it to happen. Throughout this game, Bam attempted...
Alex Sar, you got another 200 push-ups, so now that should have you at, I want to say 450. You got 450
shots,
up downs,
which is a lot. But you want to know who shot more shots in a single game? Kobe, and Westbrook, and DeJounte Murray, and Kobe.
What the fuck is DeJounte Murray doing? Having 40 shots.
Kobe. What about all those free throws Bam attempted? Those are the symptom of a team desperate to slow a player down, but can't stop him without fouling. It has been decades since the last time a player chased points to this extent, let alone had a coaching staff that allowed him to do it. But as I previously mentioned, this feels like conclusive proof that the only thing keeping that 100-point record intact is sheer respect for the unwritten rules and the opposing team and the game itself. If Bam can go for 83, I can only imagine what players like Luka, Shea, Giannis, and Wemby could go for if given the opportunity. But
that nigga Wemby, I don't know. That nigga Wemby can get 100.
What are your thoughts
if
on
Bam
this
can
game?
get 83, nigga Wemby can get
Bam's
100.
83 was legitimate? Or did the tactics used at the end of this game damage the legacy of this performance and how we'll remember it? I gotta know. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, until next time.
Hey, bro, 80 is 80, nigga. I'd be blessed. I go to the NBA, score 10, nigga. Hey, talking about everybody talking about he's 80, nigga. Go score 10 in the NBA. Hey, talking about.